All right. Welcome, James Woods. Let me let him in. I have barely begun to scratch the surface of this morning's discussion. Hello, my friend.
Mellow greetings, Julianna.
I couldn't be happier that you are the one that we are going to break down what that shit show was last night.
A little piece of me died inside. I'm not gonna lie. It was rough.
I
sledding.
just literally smudged the area with some Palo Santo magical stick that I got from somebody's wedding. Has
it helped?
I feel slightly better, but just seeing you here makes me feel a little bit better. So I have some clips. Do you want to do the clips, or should we just roll tape on the insanity that we have going on?
Oh, good. I get to relive it. So
I know that was the one problem with the clips idea.
the hangover from the debate drinking game wasn't enough. Now I get to relive it. So yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Hair of the dog.
Okay. I think, the main thing that main takeaway was obviously that the president not only refused to condemn white nationalists, he told the Proud Boys, which is a far-right neo-fascist organization, to stand by.
Yeah.
I mean, did everyone catch that? I know that Twitter caught it. Let's play the video just so we can throw up a little bit next to in our mouths. I'm sorry to even have to share this video with you. I don't want to, let's see how bad it gets, how bad we feel after we start watching this thing. Oh, man. All right. I'm apologizing in advance, but here it is. Okay, I cannot hear it. That is a problem. Can you hear it, James? No sound.
Nothing.
Well, it's actually better with no sound. It's quite a bit better with no sound.
It does make it slightly more palatable. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, even his orangeness is all right. I don't know why there's no sound on this. That's very odd. Alana! Okay. I guess she just probably did the same normal thing that she always does, and then there was no sound. But we'll see what happens here. I can do it I'll do it live. Oh my God. Did you watch the whole thing, or did you tune out at some point?
I did. And by the way, I think Messiah's saying your YouTube clip is muted in YouTube.
Got it. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. I did stay up. I watched the whole thing. Like I said, that's most of the reason why a little piece of me died inside. I'm sure some people ejected early, but I grinded all the way through it. I literally fell on the grenade.
I ate an entire box of cookies before it even started, and then it wasn't enough. Really, there was no amount of peanut butter creams that was going to make this any better. I've got the video here. It is. Oh my, I don't have the video. Okay, I do.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do
specifically
that, but
do it? Well, go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name.
Proud Boys.
Who would you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what.
Are we making too much of this? The stand back and stand by comment? Or do you think that, is he planning this in advance? I know there's always going to be dog whistling here, but what are your thoughts about this?
So, I always take and this is why I'm so universally unpopular on both sides of the fence. I will actually I'll put on my waders and I'll go waist deep into the filth that is, hardcore right-wing social media. And just because, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you end up kind of in your own little bubble. And after a while, that's all you hear. So I got two very different takeaways. I got like what I saw being somebody who understands things. And then,
well, that's why we have you on.
Yeah. And then somebody who turned on the TV and said, oh, let's see what all this hullabaloo is all about. And then, 90 minutes later, turned the TV off and went, okay.
What happened to America? Yeah.
Yeah. There's two entirely different trains of thought. Like on my end, I actually appreciated the debate because I got a good insight into pretty much what Trump's plan and what Biden's plan is for the next 30, 35 days, like what angle they're going to take, what they're going to hit hard. Like that's pretty much what the first debate was for me, other than the horror show.
Mm-hmm. Talk about what you saw.
Yeah. If you're just like, if you're Joe Sixpack and you watch a half an hour of local network news a night while you eat dinner and you don't really pay attention, which again is a lot of people. You and I, this is what we do, but there's a wide swath of America that, other than watching a half an hour of that local news, that's really all they watch. And this was like the first thing they tuned into to actually see them live. Mm-hmm. And what they saw is a lot different than what we saw. And that's probably more concerning than anything else.
So what they saw is basically Donald Trump running over President Biden. They didn't necessarily notice that President Biden, former Vice President Biden, hopefully, so that's just a dream. President Biden. I'm getting used to saying it. Hopefully.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there? That he was kind of laid back, and now they're smearing him all over Fox, saying that he was laid back and that Trump ran him off the road and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I will point out though that Fox actually had a different take out of the gate, which was that they actually they went in on Trump, but they went in on him for not savaging Biden enough. Like predictably, that's what they went in on. But no, that's what a lot of people saw was, I'm sure, was that Donald Trump seemed quicker, more agile in the mental area. Like he just came off as sort of quicker and more off the cuff. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's what they saw. Is they saw a guy who was quick and hitting hard. And
I thought I saw a guy for me. I saw a guy, and I'm hoping that other people saw this too, who was being incredibly abusive, was flaunting his 2 minutes. And the other guy, I mean, have you ever tried to make a point or speak extemporaneously while someone is screaming at you and just waiting to just get your neck on anything, anything that you say, just like a vampire? It's very difficult. So I thought Joe Biden did well under the circumstances. But to your point about the fact that like Trump was just playing to like what clips are going to get made and go on the internet after this. Well played.
Yeah. And honestly, I actually think Biden did better than I thought he was going to do. And you have to understand it's a lose-lose situation walking in, because if he acts like the experienced statesman and somebody who has a shred of grace, which is somebody who's a decent human being, then he's just going to get mauled. And if he goes shot for shot with Trump, then number one, he's the guy who sunk to Trump's level. And number two, you're not going to beat Trump at his own game. And we were doing shows live a year ago together. And I'm still, back then I pointed it out, and I'll still point it out, that people forget that Donald Trump stood on a stage having no political experience and just ragdolled Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz at the same time. He was like Neo from The Matrix, like slow motion, just like psh, 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 psh. And like people forget that happened. And so I thought Biden was going to get wrecked. And Trump came out of the gate hard and Biden buckled early, but to his credit, he hung in there. And, there was like a middle point in that debate where he looked like really good. He looked really good.
Yeah, especially when Chris Wallace was not doing his job, clearly. They really need to like have a button where you turn off the one guy and turn on the fucking other guy, because people do actually want to. It was a national embarrassment. family members are dying of COVID. People are being crushed by the burden of childcare in their own home when the education system is failing everyone, which the education system is failing everyone by not providing them a quality education, but also the education system serves as daycare. So, and childcare so that people can go out and do their jobs. So that is failing too. People have real, actual things that are going on in their lives. And basically, it's a waste of time to watch this crap. Most people are not. Most people are not. Biden did try to make the point that if you like your Medicare, you might want to vote for Biden. You know what I mean? You might, even if you're old and white and probably going to vote for Trump, you might want to consider that you enjoy healthcare, or maybe you want your wife to have healthcare.
Crazy stuff.
He did make that point, but if it was me, I would ask for my microphone to be put louder. Biden's. If it was me for the next one, my mic needs to be a bit louder than Trump's mic, and they need to have a stop button, like a back and forth, cutting the fucking mics.
You know what? And in most instances,
Trump is cutting mics. That's what Fox does. They cut mics. Why couldn't they do it tonight?
Actually, because you and I, again, there's an actual answer to this one, and when I say it, you're going to know it. Because they were using podium mics, and because they were in an empty arena, an empty room, even if they turned off the mic, they would have still heard each other, and you would have heard the other person shouting in the background. In a normal setting, or if they had lav mics, yes. And again, that worked in Biden's disfavor.
I think turning the mics off and then hearing Trump shout off mic would be very good for the Democrats.
So did you catch the total interruption count?
Was it like 70? That's the last I saw.
So here was the unofficial tally was Chris Wallace interrupted Joe Biden 15 times. Wallace interrupted Trump 76 times, and Trump interrupted both of them a total of 158 times.
Ugh.
So as bad as people want to bag on Wallace, like
he tried.
Short of him having like the Jabba the Hutt thing where like you press the button and the floor opens and then he just drops into the pit of despair and the thing eats him. Like short of that, like Wallace literally did everything he could. Like he made Trump seem like even more of a petulant child than he was.
Yeah,
which again, if you had asked me 2 hours before the debate, if Chris Wallace is literally going to poop on Trump in real time, I would have said no. But that happened. Like even he got exasperated.
Well, Trump lied about his taxes. Should we play that clip?
Always.
He's been lying forever about his taxes, and it's not really about the taxes. So I think as more comes out about that issue, and James, you yourself have been reporting about this issue, we're seeing that it's about him laundering money for an unnamed source, Putin or whoever. You know what I mean? It's probably Putin. We'll see. We'll follow the money. More will be revealed on that. But the fact that is, that most of America just thinks he was cheating on his taxes when the reality is why didn't they say not only is he cheating on his taxes, but he's, laundering money? But when is Biden going to come out and
if Biden could have spoken for more than 9 seconds consecutively without Trump screaming over him, who knows? He could have gotten there.
Here's the little thing that Alana got for us. Jay Scott, we just got mentioned in the debate. Proud of your boy. And then some other asshole writes, fuck yeah, the president just backed us up. And then the Proud Boy is standing down and standing by, sir. I mean, they read it the same. I thought people were overreacting at first because I thought he's not smart enough to have done that off the cuff. But apparently he is, and apparently it wasn't only the left that took it that way.
Oh no, Trump knows exactly what. Again, people make this mistake that Donald Trump is stupid just because he's obnoxious and boorish and sophomoric and pedantic and abusive and loud and screamy, and everybody focuses on that and just thinks that he's stupid. He's not stupid. The man is far from stupid. What he knows very well. He knows how to read the room and he knows how to push buttons.
So
He's not a great businessman. He's not a great accountant. He's obviously not great at taxes or making profits or successful businesses. But this he can do. This is his wheelhouse.
Successful at laundering money. Or who knows? Epstein. You know what I mean? This is what I've been reading. It could be Epstein. It could be these fucking people. He should come out and be like, I am very successful at laundering money. Just ask Deutsche Bank. I've been working with them for years. Anyway, I'm getting worked up, James. I've missed you. I really have. Oh,
hit the clip.
Hit the clip. Let's hit the clip. Okay. Hopefully this one's not, muted. Although again, let's watch the commercial first.
Ooh, for investment banking.
Yeah. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income.
Oh, crap. Let's try it again. My bad. I hope there's not another commercial in this.
Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars.
He's paid millions of dollars. We have to watch it 15 times in order to get at it.
Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went, you'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. If you want to go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are extremely good. And we have
I got to pause that shit.
A specific question, which is,
let me tell you,
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. No, Mr. President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
He's so full of shit.
And
wait a minute. It's too much already, James. So he's saying he's paid millions of dollars. Then he's saying, it's going to come out and we're going to show. And I wish Biden had said like a little more, like with this deep big boy voice, show us your tax returns. You know what I mean? Why didn't he use it? He kind of snuck it in there. I wanted the big boy voice.
So now Trump almost weaseled his way out there. They obviously had a plan for answering that question, and he got it right the first time. But in typical Trump fashion, there's no off switch, and then he just kept going and he screwed himself. So if you actually listen to it, the first time he says, "Yes, I paid millions in taxes," and that technically is correct because he has multiple businesses that had to pay payroll taxes for all their employees, and stuff like that. So technically, both him and his business have paid millions in taxes, and he was good. And then he shot himself in his foot when he said income taxes, because he didn't pay squat in income taxes because, as you and I know, wealthy people don't have personal income.
Obviously, clearly.
Their money has income. They do not. This is purposeful.
Good Lord. Yeah. And what I've been reading about this whole issue is that he has, he even said, look at the assets. They're worth so much. Well, he has done some fuzzy math, as they used to call it, to make the assets look like they are worth a lot, while he is taking out loans on the assets, giving himself the loan so it makes the asset look like it's worth more. It is insane. This is not my area of expertise.
But see, that this is typical Trump fashion. So he's over-reporting the value of what he has to the banks when he goes for loans, and then he under-reports the value of them when he goes to pay his taxes. And it's literally like having two sets of books, only they're both out there. He's like saying the quiet part out loud. And I actually did a couple of videos on this. He paid more in taxes in India, Panama, and the Philippines than he did in America. Like, he paid like about 150 grand in quote federal tax in the Philippines. He paid 150 grand to the fascist junta regime they got going on down there. Like, it was nothing. And he paid 750 here, which is
dollars, not thousands.
Yeah, just dollars.
Yeah.
That's it. No zeros, no commas. Just that's it. Like,
oh, all right.
Woo.
Yeah. I mean, I wish Biden had said that in the big boy voice again. And I think, to get to the Chris Wallace thing, I did see in this video that we're just watching here where he said, no, Mr. President, I want you to answer this question. I think the choice of Chris Wallace and a Fox News host was probably, number one, the only way the Trump campaign was going to agree to do the debate. And the only reason that Trump even listened to the moderator, because he knows that Fox are his boys, right?
No, that's more than fair. And I mean, I saw the schedule. I believe the moderator for the second debate in 2 weeks is somebody from C-SPAN.
I'm sure that'll be gripping.
So they went with somebody innocuous for the second one.
Right. Are we getting a Rachel Maddow debate? I mean, we got a Fox News debate.
You are not. I don't know. I saw it was the proposed host for the third one. Moderator is a woman. I didn't recognize her name though.
I really want it to be Chris Cuomo, so he can be like, "Oh, hey, oh, what is this?" I mean, he's Italian. He knows how when everybody talks and nobody listens, like how to get in there. That's part of it, right?
Yeah. But again, like everybody wanted to poop on Wallace because Trump ran roughshod. Trump was going to run roughshod over everybody, short of having a mute button, a plexiglass case, and a shock collar that zapped him every time he opened his mouth. Like it didn't matter who you could have had Steve Bannon moderating. You could have had Obama it just didn't matter. Like he was going to do that no matter what. At least a couple times, Wallace nailed his foot to the floor and said, I want, because now that question and that answer, like he has now definably looked into a camera and said, I paid millions of dollars in income taxes.
Mm-hmm. Because I have a thought that Fox knows the writings on the wall, and that if Trump crashes the economy, Fox is also not going to do well. I mean, you need people to buy cable subscriptions if you're going to have a business based on cable subscriptions. I don't know, maybe they'll change their business model to just admitting their state-run TV and take our tax dollars or whatever. But, I don't know. I just thought that I think even Fox sees the writing on the wall. So
I would assume that most people propping up Trump, whether they're CEOs, they're large orgs, they're media, whatever they are, I think anybody who's supporting Trump at this point has their own individual exit plan because it's such a raging inferno of a dumpster fire that it's not like you can control it, like you can light it up and you can wheel it into the middle of town, but at some point, like it's just going to roll and you go, And so I'm sure everybody has one hand on the parachute cord because we're a month away and, Trump's just going full fascist.
What I said today was I think it's Joe Biden who can now shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and everyone would still vote for him. He's the one now who could just.
I saw Biden was up by like 2 in advanced polling in Georgia. I was like, wow, that takes effort.
Wow.
That's hardcore. That's literally the birthplace of the Tea Party.
Yeah. Okay. Let's finish watching this thing. I don't know. Let's skip to the next one. We got the next one. This is Trump lying about his taxes. We pretty much saw it, right? We did that. We hit that one. We good. So let's move on. This next one is a little Biden. So let's talk about a little bit of Biden, what Biden did. Make sure it's not muted. His, this is basically making the stakes clear for reelecting Trump in the midst of a pandemic that he failed to address. So here's Biden. I think he gets a word in edgewise.
200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning
word
because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and he we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us.
Your thoughts about that response?
Hey, like I said, there's a sweet spot in the debate where he looked good. And again, it's usually the part where Trump isn't, taking a stick and rattling it against his cage back and forth. And, like Biden does what Biden does. And if you give him room to breathe, he can hit the point. And again, this was a big one. And he reiterated that statement a good 15, 20 times last night. Trump has no plan. And this is, going back to coming to the beginning. Let's just get a few ideas out. And you could see what the Trump campaign was going to do, which is Joe's been in office for a bazillion years and he's done nothing because he repeated that 40 million times. And then he kept trying to hitch.
Oh, really? Did nothing? What happened to the Obamacare? What happened to that? They did that.
And then he tried, and then hitching him to the radical left.
Yeah.
And that was the Trump plan, and you could see it was easy. Biden hit him with this Trump has no plan on this and on the economy, and to Biden or whoever it was who's working with Biden and helping them to come up with salient points. It's a really good point that sticks. Because it sticks on multiple fronts. Like that's a campaign slogan. Like he can run for the next 30 days on Trump has no plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's solid.
I really missed Bernie Sanders while I was watching this, because what I was thinking was Biden should have been like, not only does he not have a plan to protect you, he had a plan to make money off of this pandemic. He is making money off people dying. And maybe you can't do that as a calm, centrist Joe Biden, but fucking Bernie might have said that shit. And, a cranky, a happy, person with decorum, which is what we have now. But, and fine, I'm voting for him because great. But I really missed having just a voice that would be a little bit stronger about how Trump has undermined the American people and how close we are to fascism.
And this gets us back to the original point of they're going to stay in their lane. Like Biden's going to do what Biden does best. Like his pocket where he's comfortable is being like the calm, chill statesman. And we've all seen clips like when Biden gets worked up and then he tries to go tit for tat with people, he usually ends up saying something dumb. So you don't want him doing it anyway. No. So this is what you're going to get with Biden. I would love that there was somebody over there at that other podium who was a little quicker, a little snappier. I mean, I'm sure we all would. But again, Biden went 90 minutes with Trump and he didn't crumple. And he looked strong in places where he needed to look strong, and he got his 2 points across. You got to think this is a win if you're
it's a win, for sure.
I
also think to your point, people want calm and they want level-headedness. They don't want insanity. Some people do, but we're not going to win those voters anyway. And I think he just presented, as you said, we're going to have a plan. We're going to actually address the crisis. We're going to work with the other countries who have some science also, that kind of stuff. Like just people want calm. They want rationality.
Well, you remember like a year ago when I told everybody that as implausible as it was, Trump, who is the incumbent, was going to find a way to run as a populist upstart candidate again, even though he's the incumbent, and everybody laughed.
Yeah, I do remember when everybody laughed. You have always been prescient about pretty much everything. I would like to hear more prescience from you as we continue on with this conversation. Okay, so let's do this. There were I got a few more here. Let's keep going. When Trump responded to Biden in this clip, he employed racism and conspiracy theories. Are we shocked?
What? Shut the front door.
And he basically shit on the fact that hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost in our country due to COVID. So let's watch that.
Gosh. Surely you're exaggerating, Juliana.
Oh, but if I were, here we go.
She's not
I
exaggerating.
am not at all. I think this is the right one. Let's do it.
Wait, you have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open.
Listen to you. He wasn't even in power. Okay. He had no position. All right.
Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you
Oh, and we are. Is that okay?
understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country.
Wait a
minute.
It's his 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutic.
That nobody's going to want to fucking take.
So already fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it.
That's our show. Fake news. Let's just call it fake news. Anyway, go ahead. James, your thoughts?
My first thought is that anybody who's a student of history and has read Fascism by Umberto Eco, which is considered the seminal and most singular salient list of the different attributes of encroaching fascism in any country. Literally, number one on the list is conspiracy theories and the occult, which is QAnon and everybody's out to get me. This is just Trump reinforcing point number one right off the list. Oh, it's all a conspiracy. I had a great plan and all of you were against me. And I will tell you that I know that it came out randomly later that, quote, Trump actually probably helped by closing off air travel from China when he did. And let me tell you, if that one freaking point hadn't have come out, somewhere in the last like 5 months, Trump would not have a single leg to stand on for his entire response to COVID. The fact that he xenophobically happened to also randomly be correct is the only thing that's going to save his ass with at least the 40% of the voting populace that's going to vote for him no matter what.
I'm sure no one is thinking about this, but the fact that Joe Biden said, well, we had people on the ground there and we would have seen, and then we would have, made a decision based on that. You wouldn't have just shut the doors based on nothing, based on, just dislike of the country and try, whatever.
And there was a better point. And again,
save me, James.
There was a better point in there for Biden, though, which is, if you weren't such an isolationist piece of crap, which, by the way, isolationist is number 5 on the list of 14 points of fascism. If he wasn't such a U.S. nationalist and everybody else can go piss up a rope kind of guy, number one, he would have listened to his intelligence reports more because they would have matched up with WHO reports and medical journals coming out of China that are getting red flagged by people in the CDC, but we don't have the CDC we had 10 years ago, and Trump doesn't listen to anybody. So he randomly got right on that one thing, and it's going to come back to bite us all in the ass.
Biden tried to make a good point about the importance of voting in order to make sure that Trump can't appoint any more religious zealots to the courts. But like most of the debate, he couldn't get more than a few words in. So this clip is like 8 seconds. Oh, no. Why?
Capitalism.
I don't know how this is supposed to make me feel any better. And I apologize for them not letting me skip this.
if Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Gentlemen, I think
this is so unprecedented.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
Hey, he said something funny. Appreciate it. Well, funny in politics language, right? I mean, he was evading the question, was he not?
He was, and again, this is I'm going to say things that people might not like, and I apologize ahead of time, but you know, we all know that if Biden wins, Biden goes in, Biden is essentially going to be a zombie president. He's, you know, mostly a figurehead. There's a, you know, the DNC and there's a leadership council behind him. They're the ones who are helping to pick potential cabinets. They're the ones who are going to help him with potential legislation.
That's good. Right. I mean, we want that shit. We don't want just Joe Biden making decisions like across the board, like we have Trump making decisions like an autocrat.
Exactly.
We want other people.
But, and again, and Trump, and I hate that Trump pointed it out, but you know, when Obama was in office, they left a lot of meat on the bone. Like there was a point where they decided that, you know, on the list of important stuff and what they couldn't do, filling all those judgeships was lower on the list than other stuff. You know, you only have so much political capital that you can expend per, you know, 4 years that you're in office. They pick and chose their battles. Judicial just didn't happen to be one of them. And Trump's just been, you know, and he literally bragged about it last night. And like it was a totally cool thing. And I think the reason that Biden won't answer it is I honestly don't think that Dem leadership wants to go that route of the filibuster or packing the court, because the last time they tried to do that was when Harry Reid unleashed, you know, the simple 50-50 vote instead of a majority. And Mitch McConnell stood on the floor and said, if you vote for this, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And he did it. And lo and behold, it's been biting the Democrats in the ass for the last 4 years. And I don't think they want to open up that can of worms again.
Exactly. And especially because there's all of these different structural things that help Republicans get elected as opposed to Democrats, whether it's voter suppression, whether it's gerrymandering, you know, you name it. There are structural issues that whether, you know, they have a right-wing propaganda arm that's helping. There's a lot. So I don't know if ending the filibuster is such a great idea.
I don't know either, but I would say that
I like packing the courts seems good.
Yeah, but again, if you look at the people who are, you know, really going to be driving the policy wagon, I don't see that mindset from them as a collective people. Now maybe they've changed their position in the last 4 years watching the encroaching fascism. I don't know. I can only speak to what happened the last time, you know, this was the power base, and they judged it to be of not as great of importance as other things that they could expend their capital on.
Well, they didn't think that, you know, at the time that the Supreme Court wasn't like 18 conservative justices, you know, they just thought things were going to continue to be kind of normal. And, you know, when a Supreme Court justice died, they did try to put in somebody, and the Republicans didn't let them. So I'm sure they hopefully have seen the error of their ways, but also there's a lot of activism on the ground to push and make this, an issue. One of the things Republicans often do is they put Democrats on the rope. They put Democrats in a position of responding to the next violent punch, to use the metaphor of an abusive relationship. And the Democrats, this has been said, but it would be nice if they just came out and did a thing. If they get power, they need to protect themselves, by continuing to have a long game in mind. When you're putting out the fire is not necessary. It's very difficult to think of a long game when you're constantly putting out fires. Whereas Republicans are setting fires and planning the next fire all the time.
It's I don't know what to make of it. I mean, part of it I understand is when they go low, we'll go high. I get it, and that's always been a part of the Democratic Party brand for as long as you or I have been alive. Is you want to try to take or find that moral high ground, and that's kind of been a consistent marketing thing, a consistent angle that they take, and you could see that Biden stuck to it last night too. And I think it actually worked out well for him in terms of the debate, because again, you're not going to outshout Trump. So you might as well go the other route. As to what happens if Biden wins, and I'm pointing, it remains to be seen. I'm curious. I think part of it's also going to depend on how the Senate ends up shaking out.
Why would it be going lower to pack courts on the way up judicial nominations? Why is that going low? Isn't that just smart?
No, I think it's smart. You think it's smart because we're thinking of it from the political standpoint. But again, to the public, when you hear the word pack the courts, it's like when the general public hears the word defund the police, and all of a sudden they just think, there's 4 million people walking around with Molotovs burning buildings. That's what defund the police means. So when you hear pack the courts, people freak out.
Mm-hmm.
That's
why don't we just call
response.
We'll just call it filling the court vacancies.
I like that. Like I said, I wish they had done it more because, and I broke down the math on this on a video a couple of weeks ago. So, because, judges only live so long, they stay in for so long, even if they're lifetime appointments. Most of the people who serve on these benches don't hit these high positions until they're in their 50s or so. So there was a breakdown of how many judges at a federal level, whether it's an appellate court or other courts, what president they got brought in by. And I think as of right now, 32% of all the federal judges were appointed by Obama. And that was over an 8-year span. Trump right now in 3.5 years accounts for 25% of all federal judges.
Oh my God, he cannot get another 4 years.
So by ratio, he's outclocking, the Obama and Democratic administration by about a 50% ratio. So, they made it a priority, and that stings because they could stay in as long as they want. Yeah, I know.
God damn fuck.
No!
I'm getting to swearing now. I am blowing my, public broadcasting license here.
And I'm the one with the potty mouth who's behaving himself.
Yeah, I know. No, you are wonderful. It's like yes. Okay. So maybe this will drive you over the edge because this is kind of where it started to get rough. Trump bullied Biden by attacking his son while Chris Wallace tried and failed to rein him in. This is deep debate territory. And I am apologizing in advance for you having to watch this. There's probably
the billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch.
That was a good point.
With regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers
good points.
And being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were.
There you go. Oh, well, that was the Biden making the case. Not the thank God. not the Trump attacking him. I'm not sure what happened here, but so I thought Biden made 3 excellent points there.
I'm going to say something that I don't think you were going to expect me to say.
Do it.
As somebody who is of the, shall we say, the left, the further left than, shall we say, the usual fare of people who, enthusiastically cheer for Democrats at every level all the time. I have to say that honestly, watching Trump's comeback on that, where he just savaged Biden and savaged both of his sons. I'm not one for political puffery. I'm not one for a lot of this. Straight up, I am enthusiastically voting for Joe Biden now, because there is no ideological argument that anybody of any political persuasion can make about just the base level of humanity of somebody who sits on live television and shits on somebody else's dead son in front of them. Like, it's just, there's no amount. Sorry. That's
you're getting a lot of thumbs up here on act.tv on the
it's
Facebook
ludicrous.
page. Yeah. I mean,
if
you want to be,
it was disgusting. And I saw this morning, and I'm not a fan of Joe Biden's social media plan, except for, when he takes act.tv videos and then proliferates the ideas because we're awesome.
hey,
Other than that part,
any way we can help, we're good. I'm working.
But I saw today, he just, on his Facebook page, I don't know if they put it on all the social media, but he just had a picture of him and his son, and it just said, like, he is not a loser. And I was like,
I absolutely love, because I think it was great that he called out Trump for having called the military losers. I don't know if Trump has a dog whistle word that says, like, I mean everyone but you white supremacists in the military. You know what I mean? And hopefully it's not the majority. I don't really know that.
But he does. It's the word patriot. And to Biden's credit, Biden literally, like, Trump tried to take that word and Biden ripped it right out of his hand. It might have been the single strongest thing that he did in the entire hour and a half, because that's what Trump does. Trump comes up with a word or a phrase or something else that somebody uses, and he co-opts it, and then he just beats it into the ground. And, patriot prayer, Kyle Rittenhouse is a young patriot, the Proud Boys are patriots.
Yeah, he took back that word. You're
patriotic Americans. Biden literally ripped that shit out of his hands live on television. That was...
Yes. Well done, sir.
Biden might not have a whole hell of a lot left in the tank, but that was...
I mean, that was the Biden strong. That I think was, it was strong. And I liked seeing that, to be honest with you. And, the attack on the son is very personal. And Biden came back strong. He said, I understand how when people have drug problems and they work on it and they overcome it, it made him seem like a real person, as opposed to Trump, who's just like, anyone who didn't get a lot of money from their dad is a loser.
Yeah. And meanwhile, there's, even if you go with veteran families and then you go with the number of families who have had somebody who's gone through addiction and has either, come out the other end and is better for it, or did not come out the other end of that. It's a wide swath of the population. And a lot of that is, the working class people in the Rust Belt, where we are in the New England area now. This is actually one of the largest pipelines of fentanyl that comes in from China. It goes across Canada, and it comes down through New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island into Connecticut.
That explains a lot, actually.
And
about Route 8. The drivers on Route 8.
It's a huge thing. Like, Rhode Island's like the smallest state in the country, and it is one of the highest addiction rates. Because of that. And that's all fentanyl, which comes from the painkillers, which, that went on for, it went on way longer than it needed to anyway, but it's been going on for a long time. And Biden took that back. Like, there's a lot of people who might be in the Trump wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. And Trump was literally just like, oh yeah, your kids, they were addicts, they're losers. Like that stings, you know, you're going to go after somebody's kids, going after Beau Biden for the whole Burisma thing. That's one thing, but he went too far. He did.
How come nobody's going after Trump's kids? Are we too good for that?
No, because sadly they're more competent than he is. So,
well, okay. Here's the final video. In the final countdown, where he basically called to the American people to vote, because he probably knows that there are more of us, more people of rational mind, even if you're not a Democrat or a far lefter, you're hopefully rational, than there are of these kind of Proud Boy type folks. And I hope that I'm right, because I'm seeing a lot of fucking signs out right now. Anyway.
Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com, decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security director, and as well as the FBI director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote, because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting, because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote.
That was smart.
Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? Or you get 4 more years of these lies?
I wish it was just over. I know Chris Wallace tried to just end the whole thing right there, but as my mother used to call me, last word Louis jumped in at the end to be like, oh, let me just respond, blah, blah, blah. But, it was supposed to end right there. I thought that was great, because he spoke right to what the American people are feeling, afraid of the fact that this autocratic dictator is not going to leave. And, he is, Trump, he's like, I don't know if there's going to be a peaceful transition of power, but whether it's peaceful or bloody, there's going to be a fucking transition of power if Joe Biden gets in.
It's, see, here's where we start to, and I'm not being doomer here. He's that point last night, that was his high point. I don't know if you saw, I believe it was CNN, but it might have been MSNBC. And they had a kind of like a side cutaway of a bunch of people in a tent that were undecided voters. And they had them all night basically using the approval metric paddles. I don't know if you saw the clip or not. And after the debate, they were showing kind of like what the highest points were for each candidate. And this actually rated the highest out of all the Biden moments by both men and women. And when they went back and asked, and they were like, well, why did this resonate with you? Why was this your high point? And everybody was like, everybody they asked one at a time was like, because, you have to vote. It's important to be part of the process. Like, he made me feel engaged. Like I'm invigorated to vote, this and that. And then the last question she asked was, she was like, okay, now let's do a straw poll. After all that, how many of you undecided voters are going to vote for Joe Biden? And she went around the screen, she looked, and one person raised their hand. And that's the part that concerns me. But
the part, it doesn't concern me that way. And I'll tell you why. Because Democrats, vastly outnumber even undecided voters and Republicans.
Oh, yeah.
And so all we need to do really is get people off their ass and, stop convincing people that their vote doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Maybe they're going to get rid of a third of our votes, but we need the other 2/3. You know what I mean? We need all hands on deck. If we can mobilize people to go out and vote for Joe Biden who would otherwise vote for Joe Biden, we don't really need these undecided voters. That's just a fucking propaganda thing that there aren't any undecided voters. These people were obviously decided before they even got there.
We're at a point now where, and I think the Trump campaign showed this even the last election, they knew what their number was. Like, they knew the number they had to hit. And they also knew that they weren't going to win the popular vote. Like, they do very, very good, numerical extrapolation. So whatever the number is for this election that Trump says, if we can get the Democratic voter turnout to this number, we'll win. And whatever the number is, 58, 60, 61 million, they have a magic number. And so far, to your point, everything that Trump has been doing has been designed to reduce voter turnout. I saw this morning, he's already tweeting out like a link for Trump people to go to be Trump pollsters to volunteer. And of course, what this is going to be. It's going to be 14 Proud Boys in a jacked up Chevy pickup, sitting outside the one polling station in, some county in Georgia that's 98% black. Because of course it is, because that's how it's going to turn out. Trump already said he wants to put sheriffs with whirly lights outside of polling stations, because that'll get rid of anybody who might have a relative who has a questionable status in the country, or anybody who has an outstanding warrant or a ticket, or doesn't know if, they paid their child support, if the check's gone through yet. Like, everything he's doing is designed to slowly chip away at voter turnout, just like he got rid of the mail counting machines. Just like he spent last night 4 different times, he was slamming problems with mail-in vote. Oh, they found ballots in this place, a tremendous amount of ballots. It's amazingly tremendous. There's ballots everywhere. They're in rivers. People are finding them on their roofs. It's like fucking Christmas.
Rivers.
It's just Santa. He's just throwing ballots
and
out.
They're all
sleigh. Like
Trump ballots that are getting thrown out.
Right. And so to Biden's point, again, Biden stayed on point. Surprisingly, he had a few points to make, and he stuck the landing. And it bummed me out that only one person was like, oh, well, now I'm going to vote for him in the face of everything else that happened.
That's because that's what the mainstream media does. It fucking bums you out. That's the whole point of why they do that shit.
But man, I was just hoping somebody would buck the trend. Every once in a while you look for the classic meme picture of all the Nazis who are like standing in salute, and there's the one guy like this, and they circle him and it says, be this guy. Like, you're always hoping that there's going to be more than just one of those
just
guys.
That one guy. Yeah.
You always hope there's going to be more than one.
I hope that people are, I left being like, great, that couldn't have been any better. I mean, I don't understand how people are just like, wah, that was terrible. First of all, it was going to fucking be terrible. So
yeah,
it was pretty good. That's how I felt.
Like, if you thought like Joe Biden was just going to stroll in there and dunk on Trump and posterize him, like, you're daft. Like, that shit's not going to happen even on a good day.
I'm expecting that with Kamala, so we're pretty much out of time. Act TV is going to kick us off the Facebook page because I think they're playing something else today in a minute or two. So, but I do want to get your thoughts about your prescience on the upcoming vice presidential debate, which I think is going to be more interesting than this one.
I think. Kamala's going to hand Pence's ass, because I don't even think Pence is allowed to make eye contact with her, and it makes it very difficult to debate somebody if you can't make eye contact with them. So,
I think she should go right up to him and try to and shake his hand cordially and just let him be like, "Ooh, I don't touch blacks. I don't touch women."
She should also do what Burke does. I don't know if you noticed, but Burke, whenever she's at the press conferences for COVID, if she wears anything that like exposes her neck, or if she isn't wearing a scarf covering her neck, Pence like won't even look at her. He just like zones out and goes to his happy place.
Oh my God!
She should definitely go with a little exposed shoulder.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Game.
Awesome. James from the internet. thank you so much for being here with us today. I could not have, when I woke up this morning and I knew that you were going to be the guest, I knew everything was going to be okay once we started talking about this stuff. Follow James at Pragmatic Anarchist on Twitter. While he's still alive on Twitter, you know, they throw him off every so often for being honest. He's also right here on act.tv on our YouTube page, as I'm sure if you're already following us, you well know. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe. Hey, maybe you got to come back next Wednesday. Can you come back next Wednesday? We'll do the Kamala and Pence debate breakdown. Thoughts?
I am here to humbly serve, Juliana.
I love you, buddy. It's really great to see you. I miss seeing you every day, like we used to when we were on the Twitchers together.
The Twitchers. I miss you, Juliana. But yeah, hit me up. We'll definitely get up, and I can stay up to watch Pence feel awkwardly uncomfortable in the presence of a woman who isn't mother.
I'm going to watch it naked and put it out there and tweet it to him that I'm watching it naked so that he can feel uncomfortable.
Mother.
Ugh.
Yeah, that'll be good.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. We will be back tomorrow with, I believe we're doing environmental coverage tomorrow. Let me check. Yeah. Alexander Kaufman, climate reporter. They talked a little bit about climate change in the debate, but not in a way that I thought was useful. We'll get Alexander's thoughts on that. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.